The X-Zone radio and TV show is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone radio and TV show or in any manner endorsed by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, Talkstar Radio Network, its affiliated stations, or employees.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Future isn't just one night. It's written in the moonlight, painted on the stars. We can't change ours. Don't give up on us, baby. We're still worth one more try. I know we put.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. My name is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. 1-800-610-7035, worldwide toll-free. Email address xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. And if you'd like to follow us on Facebook, it's facebook.com/X-Zone Radio, and on Twitter, twitter.com/X-Zone Radio TV. X-Zone Nation, my guest this hour is Allison Hayes, and she is known lovingly as the Rock Girl. Now, she's a noted psychic medium and high priestess of stones. The Rock Girl has established an unmatched reputation across the country for her ability to use sacred energy of stones to channel messages from Mother Earth and Spirit. Growing up on a large ranch in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, Allison exhibited a very unique and strong connection with things that were connected to nature at a very early age. Now, she's always had a very special way with animals and a strong affinity to trees, rocks, water, and air, and the other four elements. In addition to her ability to communicate with nature, she also possessed some very strong psychic abilities. Joining me now is the Rock Girl, the one and only Allison Hayes. And Allison, welcome to the X-Zone.
Why, thank you, Rob. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Tell me, how did you get interested in stones? Most people look at stones and say, all right, they're just stones, but you have a totally different way of looking at them.
Well, actually, it's really interesting. They actually found me. I remember when I was a child, I grew up on a farm, 155 acres, and there really weren't many humans around, so the stones and the trees and the critters, the furry critters, became my friends. And I would just kind of talk to them. I would go hang out in the creek. I would, interestingly enough, I grew up in Bucks County, and a lot of the old buildings were made of stone.
Right.
And I would walk into one or lean against one if I went for a riding lesson, and I would actually see visions of what had occurred there hundreds, thousands of years before. And I didn't really understand what was going on. And so I began to doubt my own reality a little bit. But later, when I took geology, I think it was in 7th grade, and they gave you the little specimens of rock.
Yeah.
We had to write about them, and I would just pick them up, and they would tell me what they had to say about them. And interestingly enough, the properties that they were telling me that they had were actually the ones in the book. And then after that, I kind of put them down for a while and chased boys and was a teenager. And then later, in my early 20s, and I ended up with a thyroid condition, and the doctors really couldn't regulate it. And so I turned to alternative therapy for help, and I started utilizing my stones to balance the chakra system in the auric field, and the rest is history. I did go on to study with amazing stone teachers throughout the U.S. and the U.K., which really kind of, it's interesting how they taught. They taught more in stories by word of mouth, and everything they said made sense. So all of the rocks that I had been collecting throughout my lifetime, I started to be able to communicate with them a little bit more on a deeper plane, and a lot about healing, and they also accelerated and honed my psychic abilities, and the rest is history.
All right, Allison, please stand by. We've got to take our first 2-minute break for this hour. Exonation Allison Hayes is our special guest, and we're going to be talking about the ancient mystery of stones revealed. Allison is known as the Rock Girl. Her website is www.therockgirl.com, and Allison and I will be back on the other side of this 2-minute commercial break as the X Zone continues here from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, with yours truly, Rob McConnell, on the Talkstar Radio Network and our growing family of broadcast affiliates worldwide. Don't go away. We'll be back in 2. Welcome back, everyone. Allison Hayes is my special guest, and she is known as the Rock Girl, and her website is www.therockgirl.com. We're talking about rocks, sacred rocks, and how she reads energy. She's also a psychic, and we're talking about the ancient mystery of stones revealed. Allison, I understand that you're also a high priestess of stones, and how does someone get to be a high priestess of stones?
Well, that's a great question. I'll first explain to you what that is and then how I got there, if I may.
Sure.
First of all, a high priestess, any type of priest or priestess, the root word of that is of service. And so a high priestess of stones is someone who is of service to the stones. Now, I was ordained, actually, in the UK, and they have a lot of that old world knowledge and wisdom over there, and they have the high priestess of the goddess and all sorts of kind of titles over there, if you wish. And what it is it's the person's duty and honor to carry out the teaching of the stones or of the goddess, if you will. I'm just using the goddess as another example, and to bring that knowledge and pass that on to others. And so I've studied really a lifetime. I didn't realize I was embarking on the studies, but I started at a very young age and have worked with master teachers throughout the world, and I've accumulated this knowledge, and it is of my service to pass it on to others through psychic rock readings and also through teaching seminars and workshops. I have a school called the Rock Girl Sacred Stone School. And there's a website to that as well. It's www.sacredstoneschool.com. And really, that is, when I took the sacred vows to become a high priestess of stones, I created the school, the Rock Girl Sacred Stone School, in order to teach others about the power and the wisdom of stones. And within that lies the healing properties, the psychic abilities, and really connection to all that is Mother Earth.
I have to ask you this. How do you do a psychic reading on a stone?
Oh, Oh, okay. Well, I don't actually do it on a stone. I use the stones, in my reading, as someone would use tarot cards or runes. And basically, if someone is to come to me in person, they would come into my studio. I have a studio called the Rock Room in New York City. They would actually choose the stones, and then they'd put them in a certain order according to sacred geometry, and I would read the stones and connect to the person. Now, if they were to do it over the phone, I have a certain layout here, and people would actually choose numbers that correlate to that stone.
Okay, let's try that. All right, I'd like to get a sacred stone reading.
Okay, do you want to do that now?
Sure,
or?
let's do that now.
Okay, great. All right, well, what I'd like you to do, just for sake of time, is to choose a question. What is your question?
Oh, geez, let me see.
All right, well, I'm going to let you off the hook.
Pick one for me.
Let the stones choose the question.
All right, there
How's
you go.
that?
That sounds great.
Okay. What I'm going to do is ask you to choose 5 numbers which correlate to the stones.
Okay.
And before we do that, Rob, I just want to let people know that when you choose the stones, what happens is there's a connection through Reiki energy, and you might start to feel a tingling or a buzzing somewhere in your auric field and chakra system. That's actually the stones bringing the chakra system and the auric field into alignment. Now, that alignment allows you to have a more clear and direct connection to spirit. And I, as the psychic, connect to spirit, and I channel very quickly. I speak quickly because the guides speak quickly, what the guides have to say to you. So that's what I do, is I'm basically a translator for the spirit. So with that said, Rob, if you can choose 3 numbers between 1 and 41. Okay.
Let me see. Number 7, 27, and number 39.
Okay, 27. Okay, and did you say 39?
Yes, I did.
Wow, we've got some good stuff coming up for you. Okay, number between 1 and 4.
Number 3.
Okay, number between 1 and 6.
5.
5. Okay, very good. I want to talk about, there's five stones, and the center stone always tells me the overall tone of the reading. Mm-hmm. Now, what's interesting is the center stone that you have chosen is black tourmaline. Okay? Now, black tourmaline serves as almost a warning, and it also tells me that, black tourmaline has the ability of turning negative energy into positive energy, and I do want to take a look at that because it's the overall tone of the reading. I'm kind of, let's see, there's certain, I don't want to kind of lift up, peeping everybody's windows on live air, but I can tell you that, you're going through some type of transition right now. Are you cleaning house in some way? I'm kind of looking at career. Does that make sense to you?
No.
Okay, no, it will. Okay, trust me that it will. There's some negative energies that are going to be coming to your attention probably shortly after this reading that you will see that kind of need to go back to the sender. I see you actually taking on a new project by the end of the year. They're showing the month of December. The reason why is the last stone is a malachite, okay, and it's in the form of an egg, and it's all about new beginnings. Do you do any kind of television?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great, because I do see some, for lack of a better word, mushrooming out of television. Now, I don't know anything about you, and I purposely didn't research you because I like to go into the readings cold without any hints. And I do see, okay. All right, let's see here. How can I put this in a politically correct way? I do see that your television career will be branching out. Now, I do know that you are in Canada. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Are you in the States yet?
As far as syndication?
Television.
Definitely.
Okay. I do see a new show coming up. Now, with your TV shows, do you interview people? Is that what you do or no?
Yes, I do, as well as I do a series.
Okay, great. Well, I do see almost a series coming out of the series, a branching out, a new project from an original project. And I do see kind of it splitting off and going many ways. So, and that's something new, okay, new coming out of the existing. What I want to caution you about, okay, so you'll be signing some new contracts or presented with some new contracts. There's some negative energies in there that don't have your best best interest in heart, okay? They're not the people right next to you, they're the next layer. And there's some kind of envy, and there's a bit of a greed. I mean, it's business, what can you say?
Yeah.
And what I want you to do when you get these contracts presented to you, and you know what, they're showing me the month of August. So obviously a lot of times with psychic predictions, it's a bit tough because it hasn't happened yet. But there'll be contracts presented to you sometime on or around the month of August. And again, this is coming directly from Spirit. What I want you to do is be very careful, and I want you to have a second set of eyes take a look at it, a fresh set of eyes to look at it, because a lot of the stuff, there's some kind of hidden clauses in there that don't have the best interest. They're showing me the number 55%. I don't know who gets 55%. But really take a look at that, because they're showing me the statistics could really fall more in your favor if you take a closer look. You're also going to be cleaning house as to some representatives around there. And I do see you almost having your own production company. Do you have that already? And they're showing me no, correct?
Correct.
Okay, that is coming your way, your own production company, which is very exciting, but it's going to be a lot more work. The next stone after the black tourmaline is pyrite, and pyrite is it's known as fool's gold to the naked eye, but it's actually an amazing stone. It's all about fire. It's the warrior energy. It's action.
Wow.
The name pyrite means fire in Greek. Now, that means that you're going to be lighting the world on fire, so to speak, in this particular area. And that is going to lead to these new things. So now that I look at this, what I'm seeing is you really kind of starting your own production company, and part of the impetus of that, Rob, is because you need to have more control over everything, because you're going to be given a lot of opportunities, but a lot of people will be like, let me do this, let me take care of this for you.
Yeah.
And what you want to do is maintain a certain level of control as not to be bamboozled or cheated. What I can tell you is that in another lifetime, you did have a lot of riches in one of your lifetimes, but they were taken away from you by those who said that they were your servants and were going to take care of you.
I've always believed that.
Okay.
Yeah. I've always believed that.
I got goosebumps. Yes, and so you thought that they were your kind of confidants, but really they made sure they took their share and then some. So a lot of people, now that we're coming towards 2012 and beyond, have a chance to kind of clear these karmic debts and contracts and repattern. And really the fall for you, shocker, as we move into 2012, is going to give you that opportunity to be conscious of those patterns, clear them, and repattern. And again, by December, I do see you running your own production companies and producing your own shows, and therefore keeping a lot more of this in-house. So I do hope that helps.
Wow, thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
I see here that you have over 10,000 stones that you've collected in your rock room. How long did it take you to collect 10,000 stones? And isn't that kind of a bit of a weight on the foundation of your house?
Well, it's so funny. First of all, we're probably up to like 15,000 because I just came back from a supplier with a carload of stuff.
All right, why don't we do this? I've got to take a commercial break with the news at the bottom of the hour. I am just trying to imagine the size of a room that would require 15,000 stones. Well, we'll have to talk more about this on the other side of the news. Exonation, our very special guest this hour is Allison Hayes. She's known as the Rock Girl. Her website is www.therockgirl.com. And we're talking about the ancient mystery of stones revealed. We'll be back on the other side of this commercial break and the news as the X Zone continues right here from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Once again, if you'd like to send an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, on MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. You can always listen to past shows with our compliments on our podcast site, xzonepodcast.com. We'll be back. Don't go away.
But I wish someone had to talk to me like I want to talk to you.
My name is Michael Telstar, Canada's leading mentalist from Toronto, Ontario.
Hi, my name is Splenda, and you're listening to my dad, Rob McConnell, on the X Zone.
This is Psychic Dorothy from St. Catharines, and you're listening to Rob McConnell. Hello, my name is Holly Reeves, an astrologer from Astro For You, and you're listening to Canada's #1 paranormal radio show, The X Zone, with Rob McConnell.
Welcome to The X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Where is the moment we need it the most? You kick up the leaves and the magic is lost. Tell me your blue skies fade to gray. Tell me your passion's gone away. And I don't need no carrying on. You stand in the line just to hit a new low. You're faking a smile with the coffee to go. And tell me your life's been way offline. You fall into pieces every time. And I don't need no carrying on. Cause you had a bad day. You take it one down. You sing a sad song just to turn it around. You say you don't know. You tell me don't lie. You're working a smile and you go for a ride. You had a bad day. The camera don't lie. You're coming back down and you really don't mind. You had a bad day. You had a bad day.
And welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. Allison Hayes is my special guest this hour. She's known lovingly as the Rock Girl. Her website is www.therockgirl.com. And we're talking about the ancient mystery of stones revealed. And Allison, before we get back to your interview, I'd just like to share some very fun information with the X Zone Nation. We've actually opened up for you worldwide a speaker's corner. Now, that's where you people from around the world now have the ability to call our toll-free number that is at 1-800-610-7035. That's 1-800-610-7035. And tell us what's on your mind pertaining to all the matters that are covered here on the X Zone each and every day from, well, it's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. And we're guaranteeing you your right to the freedom of speech, and we'll allow our worldwide audience to hear your thoughts, your frustrations, your theories, your sightings, your encounters, whatever is on your mind. Okay, it's very simple. All you have to do is call 1-800-610-7035, and it's extension number 2. It's that simple. You'll be prompted to the speaker's corner, and all we're asking is that you introduce yourself using your first name, or if you want to use your first name and family name, where you're calling from, and the topic that you want to discuss. For example, hi, my name is Paul, and I'm in Ottawa, Ontario, and I want to tell you what I think about UFOs over the White House, whatever the case is. Once you've, got it off your chest, you just hang up. Now, if you'd like to leave a website that you would like to promote, hey, we're all for that. It's called Free Enterprise. So once again, the Speaker's Corner is now open. 1-800-610-7035. That's toll-free worldwide, 1-800-610-7035, extension number 2. It's that simple. Plus, on Monday, May the 23rd, we're going to be unveiling a new website where all of those who record a message on Speaker's Corners will be archived. Another way that we're trying to make this world a better place by allowing you to get off what's your chest, and maybe somebody out there will be able to help you solve the dilemma or give you feedback, whatever the case is. That's at 1-800-610-7035, extension number 2. Allison, you've got 15,000 rocks or stones in a room.
Yes. Well, some of them aren't that big. Some of them are giant. I just had a 250-pound witch's finger delivered, and it actually came from a supplier in the States, but it's originally from Zambia. So I have a very large witch's finger sitting outside.
Which finger is it?
Yeah, it's actually all of them. That's how big it is. And but that's a great question.
Thank you.
And I'm going to have a picture on my website soon. And she is a monster. She is huge. I actually have to hire movers to get her in my house. That's how heavy she is. But not all of them are that large. Some of them can be very small. And I do have probably well over 15,000 if I count every small little stone. However, I do have a studio in New York City, and they're not, there's probably about 5,000 stones in there. And the rest are kind of peppered throughout my home. And I do have a 3-story home with the garage is chock full, and I must admit that I do have storage bins filled with stones. So I probably have over 15,000. Some of them, my personal collection probably has 15,000, and then I have many that I have to pass on to others.
What is your most unique stone, and where did it come from?
Oh, well, that would be the witch's finger.
Yeah, I guess,
She just arrived. She's absolutely fabulous. She's appears to be a gray stone with silver sparklies all over her. What she really is a smoky quartz with silver rutile, which are little needles that go through her, and so it gives her that gray look. And then she has something called acnolate and mica, and it's very shimmery and glittery and somewhat glamorous. It's sprinkled all over her. I love sparkles. And so she stands about almost 3.5 feet tall. She's about 20 inches wide and 20 inches deep. And it's almost like if you take your hand and wave and give a hello like that, all these different fingers, points they're called, shoot up toward the sky. And I've actually, a great story, Rob, is that I wanted to buy her back in 2008. And unfortunately, the stock market crashed, and I lost a lot of money, and I could not afford her. And then what happened is the supplier contacted me in March, on March 9th, which was supposed to be a very sacred day, and said, I'm ready to let her go for less than half of what I was asking. Are you in? And I said, absolutely. And 3 days later, she arrived on this giant truck in front of my house, and she's been sitting outside ever since because I can't lift her myself to bring her inside.
I've been at many paranormal shows, exhibitions, symposiums, and there's always someone there with rocks. And the people that go over to the, what do we call them, rock vendors? People pick up the stones and they look at them, and it seems as if there's a magnetism between the stone and the person.
Oh, indeed, you are correct. Indeed. What a great word, magnetism. If I may, for a quick moment, explain how rocks work. The crystalline structure of a stone is exactly the same as a human being's, except that we're 80 to 90% water. Now, within that stone, within us, is the same, a very similar vibrational frequency, which is created by the movement of the ions, molecules, and atoms. Now, you see, a lot of this stuff is based on physics. It's not so woo-woo as most people think. And so the ions, molecules, and atoms within the stone vibrate at a certain frequency, and it connects to we as human beings. And if you study the ancient civilizations, rocks have been used throughout the ages, from the very beginning of times, back in Lemuria, Atlantis, Egyptian times, to balance the chakras and the auric field and promote healing on all of the physical and the spiritual planes. Now, what that really means is the vibrational frequency of the ions, molecules, and atoms creates an electromagnetic sheath around the stone, which is called the stone's auric field. Now, we as humans have an auric field as well, and that is our electromagnetic sheath. So, magnets really are a type of stone called magnetite, and we all know how they work. When you put them together in a proper form, they form this very strong alignment. And sometimes you can't even get the magnets off the refrigerator. You have to pry them off. However, if you take two magnets and put them together if you turn them over, they polarize, and you can feel them pushing away.
Yeah, they repel.
Exactly. And that's exactly what happens with humans and other humans and humans and stones. Now, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, if stones have an auric field, would Kirlian photography show an aura around a stone?
Absolutely. Now, it also depends on the stone, how the stone is shot. Also, a lot of times, Rob, stones are handled by people who have negative energy, or they're put in a room with negative energy, and the auric field kind of goes dormant. So what you would want is an active stone for that type of photography. But I wanted to give you an example of how humans work like magnets. You know how you're in a room, a crowded room, and you hear about people being drawn to someone across the room and they don't know why? A lot of that is the attraction of the electromagnetic sheath. Oh. Or you're in an elevator with someone and you cannot wait to get off, and you don't even know them.
That's happened. That has definitely happened.
I'm sure, yes, absolutely. And it's really, you don't even know them, but it's the energy that's coming from their auric field that you just can't stand.
Tell me, is that the basic principle on how crystal skulls would work?
Well, that's the foundation. It's funny that you ask, because I do have quite a large collection of crystal skulls. And crystal skulls really were created, I believe, in the Atlantean times by the sacred monks and priests as a portal. And I actually teach classes on crystal skulls. And they're used as portals to the universal consciousness. And they were fashioned after the human skull because they wanted to emulate and amplify the human consciousness. And really, the legend has it that whoever creates the skull infuses it with the energies. And the ancient skulls, I've actually worked with a lot of them, Max, the Mitchell Hedges skull. I was at the 10-10-10 Crystal Skull Conference in New York City, and they had all of the ancient skulls there. And the energies that they are chock full of wisdom. Many of them are clear quartz, and clear quartz are used in computers to store information today. And a chip as large as your thumbnail could fall on the ground, and you couldn't find it, but you know how much information it stores. And so clear quartz, especially, what it does is it stores information. So it's said that crystal skulls store ancient information from ancient civilizations, from the star peoples, from sacred leaders of civilizations, and so on. And by working with them, it transfers that energy to your consciousness.
Well, we know for a fact that a lot of the kids that I grew up with for Christmas got crystal radio sets. And we know that crystals are used to tune frequencies on UHF, VHF, and other types of radios. And we also know that crystals seem to have also a protective quality, because a lot of people wear crystals, quartz crystal pendants around their necks.
Yes, absolutely. And what that does is it fortifies their auric field, so it doesn't allow negative energy to come in through the auric field and penetrate on the physical, emotional, and mental planes, and the spiritual as well.
What is your opinion on the date of December the 21st, 2012?
Okay, that's a great question. That I do believe is the day that a lot of the planets are going to become are going to come into a certain alignment. Now, the Mayans, obviously, drove their calendar around the planetary movements. Okay, they were amazing astronomers. Okay.
Yes.
And what happened is what they did was they followed a 5,000-year cycle of the planet.
Yep.
And it has, what it is the ending of a 5,000-year cycle of the planets, and they're going to come into a certain alignment. Now, that alignment is going to create, and it's actually creating now, it's why they call it the shift, because those planets are coming closer and closer and closer together, and it's going to create a very high electromagnetic frequency. Now, it is my belief, and the belief of those who have come before me and taught me, and a lot of this I learned in the UK, because the information is so old, because this country, I know that the States, is not really barely 300 years old.
We're a very young continent, basically, compared to the amount of knowledge that has been amassed in Europe.
Absolutely. And so what I did was, back in the late 80s and 90s, I used to travel for work to Europe, and I used to be over there for 3 weeks, 4 weeks at a time, and I used to go to the libraries, and I used to go to all of these, kind of little gatherings of metaphysics, and they would talk about this shift that's approaching, and that was, goodness, almost 20 years ago. And what's happening is these planets are coming into a certain alignment, causing this a certain raise in frequency, and that frequency is going to raise the consciousness in our brains. Now, what's interesting is, as we all know, as humans evolve, their brains keep getting larger and larger, but we continuously only utilize anywhere between 4 and 7%.
And that's not including the people that are in Washington or in Ottawa.
Exactly. I've heard that, some people, some stats are even 9%.
Yeah.
But again, we're still looking at where's the other 90%. Now, it is my belief that the brain is a storehouse of cellular memories in the DNA from other lifetimes. And as the frequency of the planets change and raise the electromagnetic activity, it's going to stimulate other parts of the consciousness, so a lot of people can remember their gifts and other glimpses of their other lifetimes in order to utilize that in today to kind of help this planet become a better place and get through this shift.
Allison, you and I have to take our break. Please stand by, dear. Allison Hayes is our special guest this hour, Exonation. I'd like you to go to her website, www.therockgirl.com. And we're talking about the ancient mystery of stones revealed. Once again, her website is www.therockgirl.com. It almost seems as if the galactic alignment is going to be a universal tuning, something like people getting a Reiki treatment. Food for thought. We'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as the X Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, with yours truly, Rob McConnell. We'll be right back.
The legend lives on from the Chippewa on down to the big lake they call Gitchagumi. The lake, it is said, never gives up her dead when the skies of November turn gloomy. With a load of iron ore, 26,000 tons more than the Edmund Fitzgerald weighed empty. That good ship and true was a bone to be chewed when the gales of November came early.
Exonation. Allison Hayes is our special guest this hour. We're talking about rocks, frequencies, crystal skulls, quartz, having a home that has 15,000 stones in it. We're also talking about how Allison uses sacred rocks and rock energy to do psychic readings. Now, first of all, Allison, I want to thank you so much for coming on to the show today. It's been a great pleasure talking to you. I'm thoroughly amazed at what you do. But tell me, could I have hit on something that December the 21st, 2012, being a galactic alignment, is going to realign the galaxy or the universe that may go out of alignment because of the different magnetic forces always at play, and this happens at a certain time in order to put everything back to the way it should be?
Yes. I love it. Absolutely. That is my belief. That is my feeling. That's the energy.
Mine too.
Yes, and also, we all want to raise our consciousness, raise our frequencies, and I do believe that alignment is going to be able to help us do that.
You deal with people around the world, and I would just like to ask you, as a professional, why are there so many people out there who like to look at the galactic alignment and what is going to happen on December 21st, 2012 as negative, the end of the world? Are these the negative forces that are at play with those of us who are positive?
Well, I believe that the seed of that is fear of the unknown. And it's interesting because when I studied in Europe, I read a lot of references pointing to 2012 as the next 500 years of the golden age. Yeah. And my question was, good Lord, how come no one said that? And so, I believe it comes from fear of the unknown, and a lot of the naysayers. Negative energy is heavier than positive energy, so I think that's why we hear more of it, because it's closer to our physical plane than the positive.
I understand you do a lot of work with animals, and that you donate time and readings to animal rescues, and for that I just take my hat off to you.
Oh, thank Thank you. Yes, I love them. I have many critters sitting here with me right now.
I'll tell you something. One of the jobs that I have done as being in the media and working with Relmar was they contracted me out to the SPCA here, and I was the director of communications on a contract. And my job was to bring the level of acknowledgement and awareness to what really goes on at the SPCA, that they're just not looking for money, but they do a lot more. And that was one of the best jobs I ever had.
Oh, bless you. Yeah, and it's so important. And
Sure
the
is.
animals are so attuned to Mother Earth as well. So we really should pay attention to them more.
Well, that's what we're going to talk about the next time you're on with us. We'll have to talk more about animals. But I do want to thank you so much for joining us. Our time is up for tonight. Quickly, let our listeners know how they can find out more about you.
Sure, they can surf to www.therockgirl.com. I would love to hear from you.
All right, you take care of yourself. Once again, thank you very much for joining us, and I look forward to the next time you and I meet here in the X Zone. So long, Allison.
Bye-bye.
X Zone Nation, Allison Hayes has been my special guest this hour. She's known as The Rock Girl. Her website, www.therockgirl.com. I'll be back on the other side of the news at 6.5 minutes past the hour, as the X Zone continues here from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, with yours truly, Rob McConnell. Don't go away. We'll be right back.